All right. Hello, fellow people on the internet. This is Player Toons. I'm your host for today, Fearless Soul. With me, I have my guest host. Wondering if he'll introduce himself this time, too.
Hello, my name is Duck McGavin of Player 2.
All right. Today, we're going to continue our discussions on well, I wouldn't call them the two hottest animes out, but they're up there. They got high production values, and yeah, their story's great.
I don't know if
Not
I'd
like,
call Samurai Jack anime per se.
well, it's close enough that it's an adult cartoon. It's not really for kids.
Yeah, but Family Guy is also not anime.
Yeah, true enough. All right, we're talking about a cartoon and an anime here that are both very high on every anime or cartoon watcher's priority list.
Most
Today we're
certainly.
going today we're going to discuss some bullet points that I came up with right off the rip, and I'm hoping that my co-host here will indulge me for a while I do this.
I'll do what I can.
All right. The first thing I'd like to discuss is if you think little Deku is going to be able to beat Icy Eye Todoroki.
I think it's not so much a question of if he's going to be able to beat him, is he going to be able to beat him without pancaking him?
Yeah, true, because he's got all that super strength and enough to create wind force, tornadoes and stuff. So yeah, he could probably blow away that little ice storm he's got going.
Yeah. At the same time, Torodoki, or however you pronounce his name, could probably put a nice wall behind him to
Yeah,
stop it.
he hasn't
I think
even.
my main thing is that with a lot of Deku's fights, at least until we see him really come into his fold and go against people who can take his full strength, it's going to be a lot of him using his head more than his fist.
It's not like he's got a choice. He can't just go around beating
On the
people like
bright
that.
side, the 9 people before him, including All Might, do seem to have his back, or at least his fingers.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy how he managed to beat that guy's mind control by s- having some kind of vision or something.
Well,
And
he needed
then,
a shock, just like when Monkey Boy got his shoulder bumped in the second round.
yeah, but all his shock seems to have been internal.
Yeah.
So I was wondering about that. Was it just a vision he had of the previous users of All for One?
Honestly, from what it sounds like from All Might's perspective, is I guess kind of sort of like a remnant of the old heroes.
Yeah, and I was wondering about that a lot when it
Kind of
happened.
like, have you ever looked in the mirror and seen your mother and father in yourself, if only for a brief moment?
True enough, it was like that. Some remnant of them, in your genes.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally swallowed a hair from him in order to gain his powers since he had no quirk. And that was basically his genes going into his body. So whatever remnants of the past heroes that used that particular superpower had, it was overridden into his genes now.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what helped him overcome the brainwashing that he went under, because he wasn't even able to break it on his own. So he needed some kind of external shock, which he didn't get because nobody was near him. So he had to internalize a shock, which I think was way too convenient in that particular instance.
I'm just
But
more worried about how unstable Todoroki is.
oh,
Todoroki? How do you pronounce his name? Icy Hot. I'm just gonna keep calling him Icy Hot. That's it.
yeah,
I give up. Icy Hot.
let's just call him that. Well, Icy Hot does seem somewhat unstable. He seems to be unable to deal with his own father.
I mean, he even said sorry to his opponent because everyone could figure out, yes, he's going to win. Duh. But the way that he did wasn't showboaty or anything. It was just him briefly losing control and being like, I am so mad and you are in the way. I am terribly sorry.
Yeah, it proves that he does have the heart of a hero. At least he just He's just suffering from a lot of angst right now because he
Yeah.
doesn't want to be like his father. Yet at the same time, he seems to, have a certain amount of animosity even towards his mother.
No, I think he loves his mother.
You do?
That's why he will only use the ice powers, because that is the one actual link that he has to her. Because his father was just such a terrible person to his mother and him. The best
His
way I
father.
could, the best allegory I keep going back to when it comes to him is, have you ever watched one of those terrible reality shows where they have the young beauty pageants, where you have these little girls and basically you have the mother who's like, I was never beautiful in my life. I'm going to make my daughter beautiful. I'm going to live through her.
Yeah, that
Kind of
living
like that,
vicariously.
but with, icy hot.
Yeah, that's how his father's trying to do it. He could never beat All Might, so he's trying to groom his son to be able to do that for him,
Hmm.
to
He already
surpass him.
knows, he's like, I am not good enough. I will make something good enough and I will beat you with the power of genetics.
And that's the only reason he married Icy Hot's mother, which makes him appear to be scum.
Absolute
But,
scum.
yeah, but kids are not made to just uh, be bargaining chips in whether or not you achieve a power game supremacy or not. And
Everyone wants more power.
everyone in that show does want more power, but he's going about it the wrong way.
Yeah. On the bright
He,
side, good on his son for, not being on the same side and going against his father and showing, hey, that you did not need to make me for me to be good. You could have married someone that you would love, and I could have been just as powerful. Or your offspring could be just as powerful.
um, and I
He
think
doesn't
he
need
only
his father or his father's power.
I think he only told Deku about his life story though, which made him react kind of weird to it because he only said that he would beat him, regardless of whether or not he had to go through all that stuff. But his own mother splashed hot water in his face and scarred him because she was so sad about being married to that jerk.
Yeah.
But like you said, his only link to her is through his ice powers, and he refuses to use his fire powers because he doesn't want to be like
Well, he
his father at
refuses to
all.
fight with him. He did use them in the match to melt his opponent.
Yeah, but I can imagine it's only like a small fraction of what he
Oh
can
yeah.
actually do with it.
It's just more of like, hey, this happens to help, and as long as I'm not using it to fight or win, it's permissible.
Yeah. Well, his angst and family troubles aside, he's gonna have to find a way to overcome all that if he's gonna beat Midoriya. If he's
Yeah.
gonna beat Deku, he's gonna have to find a way to get past all that and forget about what his father told him about using his powers or whatever. Because if he doesn't use his full power against Deku, it's going to be a pretty short fight, regardless of whether or not he uses his powers or not.
Honestly, I
Because the
think he
dude's
probably
smart.
won with ice. In a odd way, I honestly kind of hope that he wins.
Speaking of Deku, what do you think about All Might's remaining time as a hero? He said himself that he was only able to use his powers for a full hour before they started to fizzle out on him, right?
Yeah.
So what was his limit before he, got destroyed by one hero and got his stomach all messed up and stuff? You think he was able to use his quirk like continuously all day long or something?
Judging from what it seemed like, it was probably somewhere between 5 to 8 hours at most.
So he can maintain his form as All Might for 5 to 8 hours before he had that
I think
injury.
he's been reduced to at least 15% of what it was before. I would say roughly
And
15, 20%.
that 15-20% means that his physical strength, even in his hero form, is less than it was at his prime.
No, I'd say he's still got the same overall strength. I don't think his strength is dwindled at all. It's just the fact that he can't maintain it.
Oh, you don't think so?
Well, take
I
for instance like this. You have long distance runners and sprinters. A sprinter trains themselves to go very fast to a very short amount of time. A long distance runner is more stamina, go as far as possible. And basically, he's gone from basically having the speed of a sprinter and being a marathoner to having the speed of a sprinter and just basically having that sprint. Still the same speed, but for a shorter duration. And we have no idea because they don't elaborate on much in this show, and they like to keep everything in the gosh darn dark. But
what made me think he didn't have the same physical strength is what he said when he finally beat Nomu, right? In that last episode in the first season. He said himself that in his prime, it would have taken 3 punches to beat him at more than 100%, right?
Yeah.
But in his current strength, it took over 300.
Yeah. Well, I'm not talking about like comparing his prime to now. I'm talking about comparing when he was fighting the whatchamajigget and now. I don't think his strength has dwindled that much. I think it's roughly around the same.
All right.
Because in his prime, that was before he, got that injury that he has right now.
Yeah. And Nomu only made it worse.
And that knocked him down a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, Nomu kind of ruined him when he had that fight with him. In fact, up to that point, I thought that whole series was just straight booty until that fight happened. I was about to stop watching.
Oh, probably a good thing you kept going. I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite series, but I definitely enjoy it.
That's what really got me into it. I was like, what is this? They can actually have high production fights like this in this anime. I thought they were just going to talk every episode and scream about their determination and their resolve about everything. Never actually do anything.
Honestly, it reminds me a lot of the same way the production team handles Naruto, where they spend most of their budget on the action scenes, which are relatively short, but they are high quality, detailed, and spectacular.
Yeah, I believe taijutsu is actually a real art, but I think I've heard it described as a rather complicated martial art. Not like it is in the anime, where they just learn it in a few years, and then next thing you know, they're jumping up walls and stuff. They go to the academy to actually learn that stuff, but some of them seem to know taijutsu before they even get to the academy as little kids.
Well, some people do learn from a young age. I started taking martial arts when I was 3 or 4.
All right. We're gonna segue into our next point. I keep getting interrupted here. Nothing I can do on my end. All right. Speaking of the flow of things, how do you like the direction of the anime so far?
Overall, I'd say I like it. I have a love-hate relationship when it comes to tournament arcs, because 9 times out of 10, about halfway through the tournament, something goes terribly wrong, and then we have to save the world. At the same time, I do kind of enjoy, like, when it comes to tournament arcs, I would say definitely my favorite would be Yu Yu Hakusho's tournament arc.
Yeah, that was just full of action.
Yeah. And as far as I remember, the tournament didn't completely go crazy up until you had to fight Mr. Sunglasses.
Yeah, what's his name again? Shiguro?
I believe so. All I know is my favorite fight was when he was fighting that Mohawk guy, and he beat him with brain power. Kind of. He headbutted him a lot.
Yeah, Yusuke Urameshi isn't exactly known for his piercing intelligence.
But I think the difference between that and My Hero Academia, well, My Hero Academia has taken the time to develop the characters. I believe they're not developed as much as something like Yu Yu, where you had all these other characters, side characters, who you got to know their backstory and where they're coming from and everything else. So you could have some more investment when they were all fighting. With this, it seems more like we're mostly coming from the perspective of Midoriya or Deku.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that's a mistake. That's fine. I'm just saying I feel like we're it's only 2 fights in, so I can't really say, but I feel like it feels like we're going to start missing out, and they're not going to pay attention to all the other fights as much. I mean, yes, some might see it as padding, but I would like to actually see how these fights turn out, and I hope we actually get to see more because we got 2 fights in 1 episode, and I was kind of hoping. I didn't know where it was going to go, but I was kind of hoping that the first fight would take longer. And that second fight was done.
Well, um, as far as Deku goes, I would like him to start picking up in the confidence area, because anybody that gets super strength is not going to be that unnecessarily humble about it forever.
True. That is a part of his charm.
He never gets big headed about what he's got as a hero.
Yeah.
He just relies on his intelligence, which is elaborated more on every episode, it seems. We know the kid's smart, but what else can he do?
I think the best confidence you're going to get from him is something akin to like when Gohan fought Cell. Not so much confidence, but acknowledging your own power.
Yeah, when Gohan fought Cell, though, his whole get down changed.
Yeah.
He went from, man, I don't know if I can do this, to I'm going to destroy you now.
Well, it went from not knowing if he could do it and then knowing that he had to do it. There wasn't a can I, can't I have to do this or everyone dies.
Sure enough. All right. um, that kind of segues to my next point. We're switching to Samurai Jack now.
Watch out. Yes, I'm going to do that every time. You can't stop me.
I enjoy it, so no stopping coming from me. All right.
And we got my favorite assassin, baby, coming back with the octopus legs. Got his new body back. Yeah.
Yeah. About that, did you not see him like get his head blown off by Aku?
Yes,
He's
but
gone now.
it was enjoyable. I enjoyed it while he lasted.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was gonna stick around myself, but then he gave Aku that bum
Aku
information.
doesn't take kindly to failures or lying,
Yeah, but at the time he knew that Jack didn't have a sword, but he got the sword back by the time he
He
managed
had
to
no
catch
way to
Aku.
know. It took a long time for him to crawl his way back to Aku.
Yeah, but that was just unfortunate. I like Scaramouche too, but he ended up getting it in the end. So that's just one less enemy for Jack to face in the end.
He could come back. I hope he comes back. I like him. I'm sorry. He's like my probably one of my favorite characters in the show.
Yeah.
Next to Samurai Jack, of course.
I don't know what it is about Ashi, but she's a little hard to like.
Yeah. Well, she's very ignorant to the ways of the world,
She
which
tries her
is
best to learn.
charming, but at the same time, I don't want to say it detracts. It's just I wish that she had more, I guess,
Yeah.
because she's very two-dimensional as a character. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think she's adorable and a badass, but
Yes.
she doesn't have much depth because with her upbringing was effectively to kill Jack. That's it. There's no deeper story there. All of her story and progression starts and ends with Jack.
Which is something I discussed last episode, was her development as a character was tied to Jack and Jack on,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of troubles me because if he's not around, there's not a whole lot of character development for her. I mean, look what happened when he got up and left her in the middle of the night to go fight Aku. She got up and didn't even realize he did it, when anybody else would have been like, okay, he did you.
He is her guiding light. Without her, she went her entire life following what she was told. She needs some sort of guidance, or else she doesn't know how to function.
And true enough, she knew how to find him pretty quick, though.
Oh yeah.
He seemed to have gone quite a long ways to get away from her and she was on him basically in no time.
Well, they tracked him relatively easy when they first set out, so.
Yeah, that's what scared me the most about those sisters, that you couldn't shake them.
Nope.
They would follow him everywhere he went and try to kill him. And because
Single-minded. They had one thing to do.
I mean, the Terminator had nothing on him.
Mm-hmm.
So, that being said, let's discuss Ashi's fate. She has been turned against Jack after she found out that her heritage is actually half Aku.
Well, she knew. She had to have known. I mean, when you're called the daughters of Aku, you know.
I think she
I
knew
just
to
love the
some
way they
extent.
played it off, because Aku was like, "Oh yeah, that one time I had that one night stand with that one lady, and I put my blood in the cup, and
She
she
drank
drank
it.
it." So
Then,
that was a thing.
oh
Ugh.
my God. Anyway, I believe, like you said, she knew to an extent that she was of Aku, but I didn't think she actually realized at all that she was actually
I
him
refuse.
in a
That look on
sense.
her face, she knew. I think it was more the fact that she didn't know and didn't want Jack to know, or didn't know how to tell Jack and didn't want him to know.
You're just adamant about this, that she actually knew about her heritage
I
before.
refuse to believe that she didn't know. I guarantee you they drilled that into her goddamn head. You are the daughter of Aku. You are the daughter of Aku. Not figuratively, literally. He is the baby daddy.
Well, I don't know what to expect at this point, because he turned her into a monster basically, and she fought him. And once he gave up trying to kill her because he just, like he said, he didn't want her to become a memory to him like everybody else did.
Yep.
He just gave up, and Aku took the sword from him.
Yeah. I
But
would say, he could use the sword to maybe heal her somehow, but, without it. Ugh.
that in and of itself is a dangerous process. You actually have to touch her with it, I think.
I don't even know. I think Aku's going to know what to do with that sword.
I mean, he can control time to an extent, so I'd imagine he just will throw it into a rift way into the far future where maybe the Earth itself doesn't exist anymore and keep
It's
it there.
possible. At the same time, Jack summoned it through the universe. So, who knows if that would work?
Yeah, the nature of that sword is still a bit ambiguous to me because I think of it as a
At first, I
spirit
thought it
sword.
was like a physical object, and then Hocus Pocus started happening in this season, and I don't know. Ah,
That sword is I hate to say that it's more of a mystery to me now than it was before, but it just seems like it's some kind of spiritual weapon that manifests physically, depending on the wielder.
yeah.
And if it wasn't Jack, it would probably be somebody else that will wield it as a spear or a scythe. I mean, I just wonder about that.
I just, I'm not saying, because, it's already been recorded, but I feel like the writers set themselves a trap because either way, it's going to feel cliche. Either A, she's going to have to die by Jack hands and it's so tragic, or of course, he's going to have to save her. Either way, it's going to feel cliche. I'm still going to enjoy it, but it's going to feel cliche.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the sword itself, is it going to be instrumental in defeating Aku, or are they going to go completely left field and something else is going to take place to defeat Aku? Because first season when Jack got close to beating him, he just tore a portal open in time and threw him through it. And you know, I suppose all he had to do at that point was just wait. And time caught up with Jack. He was in the future where Aku ruled. There was nothing left of nature or anybody that could help him except
Well,
the
that
Scotsman.
sword's really the only thing that can do anything to Aku. So without it, he just doesn't work. I mean, we haven't seen anything else that actually hurts Aku. Everything else is just a slight bother.
Yeah, I mean, the Scotsman had a birth an entire army, 300 style, came to his doorstep with tanks and swords and what have you, and he literally rolled right over him.
I love that Scotsman.
Aye, laddie. I do wonder what his spirit is doing now that he's magically attached to a broken sword now.
Making ghost babies. Oh.
That would probably be slightly more effective than actual babies he made. Those Scotsman's daughters he gave birth to were hot. I'm sorry, I like them big, immature.
That's perfectly fine. I'm noticing a theme to these talks that we have.
So that being said, let's wrap this up by asking one final question.
All right.
Do you think Jack is going to be able to beat Aku this season, or are they just gonna bullshit us out for another season and have another ending that we don't understand?
I wouldn't mind it ending this season. And the way that they're going, I'm not sure like if it's going to be ending this Saturday. That's going to be really quick and it'd be a real shame.
Yeah, because Ashi Jack is pretty much canon to anybody that's watching the series like we are, but her ending up in the past of him, I wonder how that's gonna work out if they no longer have an enemy to fight and they just live out the rest of their lives in peace.
Yeah.
Is he gonna take over his father's position as a daimyo and rule a territory?
After all that nonsense, I'd just go try to go out to the country and just exist. Done with everything.
The only problem is if he defeats Aku, is his aging gonna come back? Is he just gonna be an old man, or will he just start to age from that point?
Well, I don't think it's going to really, if he defeats Aku, it's not really going to undo the magic. I don't think he's already there in that time. And maybe if he goes back, the age might come to him. Or heck, he might still be the same age. Like when he's displaced in time, he's just stuck as that age until he goes back in time. And then he just basically continues to age from that point, from when he was sent.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about that particular point in the series because he said himself that time lost its effect on him. Would that reverse if he went back to his own time, or is he just stuck as an immortal?
Well, I don't think it would reverse so much as there is a not super common theory when it comes to time travel that if, like, say, you're 5 years old, just
Mm-hmm.
pretend that you're 5 years old, and you're sent into the future. So basically, you've broken time. You've done something that time says no, you don't do that. And so time gives up on you, and now you basically are five forever, at least in that new timeline. If you go back and basically put time the way it was supposed to be, you will continue on to age to 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's what I'm assuming that they're going with this iteration of time travel.
Yeah, because other
That
than
being said, I have no idea what would happen, like, say, if Ashi and all the happy-go-lucky rainbow sunshines, Jack and Ashi get together and go back in time. I have no idea what would happen to Ashi.
yeah, she just, I mean, he seemed to have used her genes to just magically transform her.
Well, I think it was more he basically, because there's a part of Aku in her, and he just
Yeah,
made that part take over.
through his magic. But I wonder about the nature of his magic too, because he himself doesn't seem
It
to fool
does when
around.
it wants, how it wants.
Yeah, but he himself doesn't seem to mess with time too much. He'll use it to defeat his enemies like Jack. He'll use it to just displace them, but never to completely destroy them with it. If he
Yeah.
has such mastery over time that he can send people into the future, or even kind of pull them out of portals and stuff that go back to the past, he should be able to do just about anything that basically unwrites law in the
Well,
universe.
being able and being willing is two completely different things. Also, he probably understands that messing with time too much isn't exactly the best thing to do. On top of that, Aku basically is all powerful and does what he wants. Like he could have probably found Jack and had Jack dead. He just kind of lumped around in his castle, just chilling.
Yeah, he seemed pretty sad that he didn't have to fight him anymore,
Yeah.
which confused me.
I think they might be going for something similar to like a Batman Joker type thing,
Yeah, where
where they
one
play
kind
off
of
each
dished out
other
the other.
and they have a very I guess the best word would be because sorry if this gets misconstrued, but like a romantic relationship, not like a sexual romantic, but like romantic as in we're meant to be, you and I.
Yeah. The Batman Joker relationship is to the point where one doesn't really exist well without the other.
Yeah,
They're
because
just,
Joker would be a sad, sad man without a Batman.
yes, he'd be one very sad clown. One is inextricably linked to the other. But that aside, I guess we'll just wrap things up here.
Before that, how much time do we have, or have we spent?
Well, it's been about a half an hour.
Would you allot me a few minutes at most to just rant about Attack on Titan really briefly?
Sure, let's talk about that. New
Because
season,
I've
right?
I've been watching the second season,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm at the point where I'll keep watching just to see what happens, but I honestly don't care.
I mean, everything is such a cliffhanger with that series. I mean,
Well, it's a cliffhanger, and just I feel I understand Aaron as a character. I understand he is even a friend of mine told me that he is an angsty kid, and maybe I'm turning into an old codger. I don't know, but I'm just tired of his shit. Like all the characters around him are well done and well made and everything else, but in the latest episode, literally all the conflict. I'm not saying words would have fixed it, but at least us as the audience might have more information if he would have handled that in a much better way as opposed to, and again, also his sister did some rather brash things as well. Just generally, the series kind of irritates me with people being brash and impulsive
yeah,
and
well,
not really using the whole thinking thing.
yeah, they're trained to be fighters more than anything else, and that's how they grow up, knowing that they're on the brink of extinction, hiding behind a wall that gets ruptured every now and then with these giants who, for all intents and purposes, are immortal because the most dangerous ability is not their size or their strength or the fact that they eat you. It's their regeneration. You can't kill those jokers easily.
Well, you can kill them easily. It's just that their weakness, you kind of have to be really close to them.
Yeah. And if you get really close to something that big, it makes it easy for them to get to you too.
Hmm. I mean, I like the show. I liked the first season. I love Potato Girl so much. Like she's a shining star. But overall, I'm just starting to tune out.
Yeah, it just
And the latest development, have you watched any of the second season?
I watched a few episodes, but I got burned out pretty quick because it's just one cliffhanger after another, just emotionally charged content all the time. It's like there's fighting against something that can't really be anything be done about because those Ayatollahs or whatever they call them, the giants, seem to come from the anger of the earth itself, and that's why they collapse civilization.
I just feel like I'm watching a show that was directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and every 5 seconds it's what a twist, what a twist, what a twist, what a twist, what a twist.
I'm not gonna.
And I got a similar feeling from, and this isn't an anime or a cartoon or anything, but watching, oh God, I forgot the name of it. What's the thing where they have the robot people? Westworld had a metric ton of twists, but they were handled elegantly, I think. But
What
my main thing is
information dumps?
I just want Attack on Titan to not constantly feel like there's one thing to be mysterious, like, hey, we don't know this. There's another thing to just have mystery for mystery's sake, or pull something out like, oh, hey, this was this the whole time. Don't you feel stupid for not knowing? No, you didn't tell me any way to know this. It's like, did you know that sky is really made of milk? No, there was no indication.
Well,
And I feel like they're trying to make me feel surprised. I'm just like, okay, I just accept whatever nonsense they're going to throw at me. And I am sorry, this is just my soapbox. I wanted to let you know, I like Attack on Titan. But aside from having an awesome intro, I'm just emotionally checked out.
yeah, it burns you out emotionally because it's just like I said, it's one emotionally charged situation
Well,
after
there's only
another.
so many times you can kill someone that I almost cared about, or try to surprise me before I'm just like, okay. Like, have you ever watched a horror film? Yeah, horror film, which literally, like, on the beat every 5 minutes is, boo, did I scare you? Boo, did I scare you? Boo, did I scare you? Eventually, you're done being scared and you're just waiting for the next jump scare. Like, I'm scared. I'm just done.
Yeah, I don't too much watch the second season too much because it burns you out emotionally to a point where you don't even want
I
to
do
watch it
advise you,
anymore.
I mean, if you have the time, which I don't have a lot of, but if you have the time, definitely it's worth watching, I think. Just, I don't know, if you can get invested in it, good job. Way to go. I'm proud of you.
So handle it in small doses.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just want more out of it. You can't really feel attached to anyone because short of like the main characters, like the two main characters of Eren and starts with an M, whatever her name is, Scarf
Mikasa.
Lady, Mikasa, my house. Um, aside from those two, everyone else is completely expendable, and I can't be attached. I can't be bothered.
What about Captain Levy? He's super strong.
Captain Levi is spoilers. He's not dead yet, but spoilers. Just as of right now, it's possible. Let's go with that.
Oh, so he's skating thin ice too, huh?
Eh,
I
mistakes were
swear
made.
to, I swear to God, if they kill him off, I'm done with the series because there's no point.
It wouldn't surprise me if he died. Like that's the thing, and I'm sorry this is going to turn into a longer thing. I'm just going to keep talking about things that remind me that are just better than Attack on Titan, at least in my opinion. You have all right in this thing. We acknowledge that everyone dies all the time ever. Can't get attached. Then you have oh, I'm going to feel like such a terrible person. You've watched Full Metal, right?
Full Metal Alchemist, the
Yes.
Brotherhood version.
Either one. This happened in both.
All
The
right.
guy who Greed killed in the phone booth.
Oh, what's his name? It was Lieutenant. Yeah, it's Maze Hughes.
Yeah. That guy, you spend a good chunk of time getting to know. He's lovable. He's a wonderful person. And I believe he was going to propose to someone or something. I can't
His
remember. Either
wife.
way, it was sad as hell. And because you got to know him through Al and Ed and really get attached to him, when he died, it was heart wrenching. It was horrible.
Yeah, it almost destroyed me. I was like, not
And
Maze.
watching not the latest episode, some pretty cool characters like, oh hey, I like these guys. I hope they don't, and they're dead. And I mean, I felt something that might be akin to sadness, but it was more disappointment, I guess. Just be like, oh, I shouldn't have liked you. It's the same thing like Game of Thrones now. I mean, I love Game of Thrones, and I will say Game of Thrones is probably better than Attack on Titan. But if someone dies in Game of Thrones, I'm like, oh, shame, shame,
Yeah,
shame.
it almost feels like you got cheated on. You're like,
You
I
haven't
should
watched
have
Game of Thrones,
liked.
have you? You didn't get the joke, did you?
No,
Disappointed.
I've never watched one season of that stuff.
You should consider it. It's actually a really good show. But this isn't live action talk. This is player toons, and I'm gonna stop ranting now. If we want to end this, we can. I apologize. I just I gotta speak my piece on Attack on Titan. Good show. Just Stop trying to make me care about characters that you're going to kill in 2 episodes. Please. It's not going to work.
Well, they're not the only show that's guilty of that, but we're going to wrap this up here. And anytime you feel free to rant, do so without reproach.
Oh, I will.
All right. This has been Player Toons. I've been your host, Fearless Soul. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter as Fearless Soul. And this has been my co-host. And I'm wondering if he'll give me a shameless plug or two.
Oh, I will pimp my shit. So good. My name is Duck McGavin, DuckMcGavin. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and I swear one day I will Facebook. Don't get your hopes up. You can find me on Player Toons, cool movies with the cool kids. Whenever we actually do that, we're having some technical difficulties, but we'll get it fixed. I also host the Player 2 podcast every single Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I play competitive Overwatch, usually Monday or Tuesday, probably somewhere between 4 to 6. It's kind of rough with my schedule right now, but I do competitive multiplayer for Overwatch at least Monday and Tuesday, at least once a week. And it will be streamed, and it will be awesome. I don't know if it will be good, but it will be awesome.
All right, folks, that's going to be the end of the stream.
Oh, that as well. We have a special stream coming on later on in the day for anyone who actually sees this with 8 p.m. We're going to be doing our podcast live as we normally do, but it's going to be on the heels of yesterday Destiny stream that we also did. I advise you watch that video as well, where unfortunately I wasn't there, but I promise it's still good. I watched it. Matt posted. It was awesome. Talking about how hyped we are for Destiny. And I tried so hard not to get on the hype train, but I think I might be boarding. So later on tonight, unless you're watching this after today, in which case, well, all this is complete ramblings. But either way, if you care anything about Destiny, you want to hear us talk about Destiny, please do tune in.
All right, that'll be the end of the stream, folks, and that'll be the end of us at least talking about any news concerning the Destiny 2. And we'll talk about it later in our next stream, which is going to be later on today. Thanks for listening in. This has been Player Toons, signing out.
Okay, love you, bye.